Imagine going from 0 students to 950 students per week in a local music school, but also doing it in a town you've never lived in before and achieving it in less than 3.5 years. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today, because my friend Alistair has just done it. I've just done a massive interview with him. I'll give you the link to watch the full interview for free at the end, but I'll share a few highlights from his journey. It's crazy. 0 to 950 students in a new town that he hadn't lived in before, while also for him and his wife were starting a family and also planting a church. So it wasn't like they were potting around with nothing to do. They're full on busy, and their story is incredible. So all that after this. Alright, so my friend Alistair, he runs what's called Epic Music Academy. There's a little info pack that he left with me. He came and stayed last week. We were chatting and we did a full interview, about 55 minutes, talking about his journey going from 0 to 950 students in 3.5 years. Pretty mind-blowing. Now, I'm going to share some highlights from that story and pull out some principles and things that you're going to want to know. But one thing I need to tell you first is Alistair had a very competitive advantage, and you will never get this advantage, but you can still get something kind of close. He actually worked for me for 7 years, and so he had many different roles in my music school, and he was in our team when we went from 0 to 1,000 students. And I'll put a photo up where we had a little celebration where we took our whole leadership team to a hotel for a weekend to celebrate passing 1,000 students. He left when we had maybe about 1,300 students, so he wasn't there when we got to pass 2,000 students, but he was there for 7 years, and he was employee number 3 at my music school. So he saw a whole lot of stuff. He got to work with me, got to learn how we did things right and what we did wrong and the mistakes that we made. And so he was able to then go and start this music school in another town. And he moved there because him and his wife were planting a little church, which is cool. And so he wanted to have a job because the church was a volunteer position for him. And so what was he best at? Well, teaching music and managing music teachers. So he sat down with me one day and said, right, if you were to start from scratch again, what would you do? And we had this big conversation, and we spent a lot of time working on the strategy. What exactly would we do? And that's the first principle I want to pull out of the story, is that Alistair got the strategy right first. Now, when we were growing our school, I honestly, this is for me, I wouldn't apply this to everyone. I probably didn't really know what I was doing till I passed maybe 500, even 800 students. And so when you look at our journey from going from 0 to 1,000, which is kind of where he's at, he's done it in 3.5 years. It took us about 7 years, which is still pretty good. But going from 1,000 to 2,000 was only like 3 more years or something. So you can see how much faster you go when you've learnt all those crazy lessons. And so we were able to sit down, Alistair and I, and go, all right, here's the strategic plan. Here's what you need to do. Don't focus on this. Don't do this. Pick this. Use these marketing strategies. And that was the first thing, getting the strategy right. There's a lot of time that can be wasted if you just have the wrong strategy. And so in the interview, he talks all about how he and his wife wanted to design their lifestyle in a way that their work hours could be, I think for them it was like they wanted to work just normal sort of school hours during the day, and they didn't want to have to work lots of evenings, etc. And so they designed things with themselves and their team so that not only would the business scale and go big fast, but their lifestyle wouldn't be crazy, overworked, overstressed, and they just made some really smart moves. And so that is the first thing. Get the strategy right, design it so that the business scales, and design it so that you actually build your lifestyle around the business. The business doesn't own you and your life, and it's just totally all-consuming. So that is point number 1. Number 2 is that Alistair has the humble, hungry, smart. What is that? This is something that I took from the Ideal Team Player book by Patrick Lencioni, and he talks about these being the most important 3 ingredients of any leader and any team member. Humble, hungry, smart. It means humble. We know what that means. Humble, teachable. Hungry means work ethic hungry, like you've got real hustle and drive. and smarts is people smarts. You've got great people skills. Now, Alistair has all three of those, and if any one of those is missing, you've got trouble. And so these are three things you want to develop yourself. These are also three things that you would look for in anyone that you hire, because if someone's not humble and teachable, it's a nightmare. If they're not hardworking, it's a nightmare. If they have low self-awareness and bad people skills, it's a nightmare. You need all three, and Alistair has all three. And I'll just touch on the humble part first. Actually, all three. Humble, he came and sat with me and said, hey, what's the strategy? What should I focus on? And we looked at his strategy, and we took a lot of clutter, got rid of it, focused on what was important, and ultimately that's what got him from 0 to 950. Next, the hungry, the work ethic. He talks in his interview about how he hustled, and he tells all these stories of what it really took to get it off the ground and make it happen. And it's not that it's hard, it's just that you actually just got to be committed and do it. And he wasn't working insane hours or anything like that. He's just make the plan, work the plan, and work the plan hard. It requires that hungry work ethic. Third is the people skills. Alistair's amazing with people, and so he's been great at building a team around him, connecting with people. Remember, he's moved to a city that he doesn't know anyone, and so he's had to learn how to connect with people quickly, build connections, get sales, get people in the door, and build a community around what he's doing. And so those three things are massive. And so think about which one you could work on a little bit more. Are you very humble and teachable? Would you reach out to someone like myself or Alistair for advice and support, or are you just trying to figure it out on your own? Hungry? Are you really waking up in the morning like keen to hustle, keen to work your butt off, make things happen, or are you sort of drifting in and out of Facebook and listening to music, playing your instrument, half working, half pottering around? You got to be focused. You got to work your butt off. 3, people skills. How are you developing these? Are you reading stuff that's shaping your character, not just your business skills or your musicianship? How are you developing that character, that way that you interact with people, the way that you lead them, all those great things. So that is, I know it's a long point, but that is point number 2 that I got out of this interview. Now, just a reminder, if you like getting videos like this that are going to help you grow a more successful teaching business, so you can be like Alistair, you might not want to go to 950, but you might want to go to 200 or 100. Click like, subscribe, you'll get more videos like this. We also have a whole bunch of free resources down below that will really help you. There's a whole bunch of really epic stuff that you can have for free that's going to help you grow your business. And final thing is, if you would like to check out our Build a Music School program, you can also get a free trial down below as well. So take a look, because this is the sort of stuff that you're going to see with people getting great results who are applying this sort of material like Alistair's done. Now, he is an outlier. He's extremely successful, but there's heaps of people that are achieving massive results, and the truth is, if you're in our BAM squad, which is our Build a Music School squad, our membership of music teachers and music school owners that care about building a great music school and would like to increase their profit and reduce their stress and workload, this is the place to be. And if you're in that group, you have the best chance of really getting further faster, is what we like to say. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and it relates to that resource, is that Alistair tapped into resources that were already built that he didn't have to build from scratch. Now, before I held up just this little info pack, this is an example of a small one. So he looked at what he needed to build his business. He had his clear vision. This is the strategy. This is where I'm headed. Now, he could have looked at every single thing he'd need to build, and I'm talking everything, right? He's obviously got to come up with his own brand and website and things like that, and there it is, Epic Music Academy. That's what he came up with. Looks great. But from there, think of everything else it takes to build your business. Well, you've got to set up all your email templates. You've got to set up your terms and conditions. You've got to set up your communication plan with all your students and teachers. You got to think about your curriculum. Are you going to write it all yourself? Are you going to, just scrap bits of paper week by week? Or are you going to have something professional and slick? What about your promotional material, or your Facebook ads, or your Google ads, everything. Think through every part. What about contracts for teachers? What about how you train the teachers? Just all the things that go with building a business. Sounds overwhelming, right? Now, of course, the smart thing is not to go build that all yourself. It will take you so long. So what Alistair does, he gets access for everything we've got. And so right down to this pack here, he was promoting his program with our pack, saying, hey, I've come from the school, our school, Good Time Music Academy. I'm building this school in this new town. And I don't think he even had his own logo on the pack yet. He had our physical pack, which again is available to you if you want. And so eventually he made his own one, and it all looks awesome. And you can check this out in our Build a Music School library for free with that link down below. But that was one little thing. So now he's got the promotional stuff, and he knows that works. He's seen it tried, tested. He knows how to use it. Great. So that part's sorted. Okay, what about he needs to build a team, so he needs a few tutors. Okay, well now he needs contracts and he needs to train them. Okay, great. So he goes to our Build a Music School library. He gets all the contracts, gets all the training, probably does 10% tweaks himself, and then it's done. So he's saved tens of thousands of dollars. Now what about curriculum? He's got to teach these kids something. Oh, okay, well he could build all the books, and it's probably $3,000 to $5,000 time, labor to build a 40-page music teaching curriculum book with little homework things and images and making it fun and colourful. Well, instead of building that all himself, he goes to our library, and we've built, I think it's like over 30 books that have all costed, $3,000 to $5,000. So he gets all of those, makes a few tweaks where he wants, puts his own covers on them so they look really cool. Great. Well, there's like a $60,000 cost, done. And he just repeats that process over and over. And so that is something you want to think about. Whether it's using our Building Music School stuff or someone else's, invest in shortcutting those situations. You don't want to have to build all that from scratch. And so again, this comes down to that humble part. Often you will be like, oh no, it's not good enough, it's not my perfect method, and all that sort of nonsense. No one cares about your perfect method. Like, honestly, take something else that's going to shortcut it and then tweak it as you go, improve it over time, but get that massive leap head start that's going to save you so much time. Edit it later because you're just going to move faster. And so that's what you want to repeat for all the steps that you need in building your business. So that's another big clue. So no matter who you're investing with, do your research, find the right stuff, find a good deal, and invest in the things that are going to shortcut that stuff. You don't want to have to sit and build books, templates, emails, contracts, all that stuff. Save heaps of time and money and stress and workload. Just makes sense. So that is point 3. Number 4, final point, I want to talk about how Alistair solved a little problem. Now, one of the problems we had in our school was that 5 and 6 year olds, that was our bracket with the lowest amount of retention. And so obviously that's from things like, they're still growing, there's a lot of brain development to go, their hands are small, certain instruments are hard, and we were often guilty of rushing kids into choosing an instrument, working through a book, and them getting stuck and having to repeat things and find 10 different angles to try and get them over this one hurdle. All that sort of stuff is just not enjoyable. And so Alistair, he knew this was a challenge, and he looked at his own numbers. He identified that it's the same thing for him. The 5 and 6 year olds is a massive market, and you want to get kids in at 5 and 6 because if you can do a great job with them, well, hey, look, if they stick around till they're 15, 18 years old, you got 10 to 13 years of lifetime value there. That's way smarter than just getting the 12-year-old or the 14-year-old kid to come in for a few years before school gets too busy and he quits. So you get that massive length of lifetime value for a customer. But he realized, hey, I've got to do something about this retention issue. I need to fix it, improve this. So he got to work on diagnosing the problem and finding a solution. And so what he shared in the video, and you can watch the interview, and he's actually given the resource, was he built this whole program for this age group. And he's seen by implementing it, his retention's gone through the roof. And now those students, I think he said, makes up 15 to 20% of his student numbers. And so they're absolutely stoked, and the teachers love, delivering this program. And so that's another really cool point, is thinking, what is the real problems you're trying to solve in your business, and what is going to move the needle? We don't want to just keep focusing on growth only if we've got a hole in our bucket and people are coming in and they're escaping because we've got a retention issue. And so ask yourself all the time, what is the problem I'm trying to solve here? What really is the problem? And so sometimes it takes a bit of time to sit down quietly, get your pen and paper, brainstorm it out, write down everything, figure out what really is the problem we're trying to solve. And so that's just one little example. And when thinking about that resource, I just want to highlight, I didn't mention it before, but in our Build a Music School program, you don't just have access to everything I've created, the tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. We are really collaborative. I think it's the only collaborative community of this sort in the world. And so Alistair, he took that program again, which would have cost him, $4,000 to $6,000 to build, and he actually gifted it to our BAM squad and recorded 3 videos teaching them how to implement it, everything they need to know. And so now all our members have access to that free part of their membership, and for those that want to implement it, they're going to see that age group from the 5 to 6 year olds, their retention increase, which means their income increases, and their lifetime value for all those customers. Now that's just one age group. Obviously there's a whole range, right from kids, teens, adults that we want to tap into. But if you can get people in and stick around for 10 years, it's just so much more money, and then you can reinvest it into cooler projects. You can pay yourself more. It's just worth doing. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. So check out that resource in the library. I think as I record this, it's about to be released next week, but by the time you watch this, it's probably in there already, so you can check that out. So anyway, there's some highlights from the interview from Alistair. If you'd like to watch the full interview, grab a free trial to our Build a Music School membership down below. The whole interview is about 55 minutes, and it is gold. It's really helpful. You're going to love it. We do a lot of stuff like this because I never had anything like Build a Music School and haven't seen anything else like it in the world, and so we are building it for you guys so you can get results like Alistair if you've got that humble, hungry, smart and prepared to put the work in. So you're going to shortcut a whole lot of stuff and be part of like a cool community with just hundreds of awesome music teachers, academy owners to share not only your wins but your tough challenges and milestones as well. It's absolutely awesome. Check it out. Just grab a free trial. Stick around if you'd like to, carry on after the trial. If it's not for you, that's cool, but you do just get one chance at that free trial. Hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoy the interview with Alistair. Take care. See you in the next video.